Hello everyone and welcome to another video. My track guide for the F4 going around Oulton Park International layout. We are using the fixed setup, so let's get into it. For qualifying we want to be on the left side of the track, and my braking marker is the beginning of the banner here on the left. Once I get to that I go to about 50% brake pressure, and we're somewhat quickly off it again, just around mid-track. I'm cutting all of the curb on the inside as it is flat, and just before we get to the curb is where I start to apply the throttle again. Just make sure you don't cut too much as there is a little bump in there. Make sure to keep one set of wheels on the outside curbing here so we don't get a 1x. We don't have to do anything for turn 2, but we want to be on the right side of the track for turn 3. We want to be as close to the white line as you dare, and we want to brake just as the track starts to get lower. Once I start to brake I go to about 65% brake pressure, and we're slowly easing that off throughout the corner. We want to apex where the wall ends, and just as soon as we get close to the curb we want to pick up the throttle again. We can't be on the curb, but the car will bounce around a little bit. Just make sure you don't get spat out too much on the right tire, because that will give you a 1x. Now it's a drag race all the way down to turn 4, but in qualifying we want to be on the right side of the track. Turn in and trust in the downforce, and make sure we get over to the left side of the track for turn 5. I brake once I get to the end of the tire wall here on the left, and we're going to about 80% brake pressure, easing that off all the way to the middle of the corner. The corner is banking, so we can carry a bit more speed than we think. I start to apply the throttle in the middle of the corner again, and here I'm easing in the throttle, so make sure I don't get spat out over the curb. This is a corner where we really have to trust in the downforce. Once you do, this will gain you quite a lot of time. Turn 6 is flat out, so we want to position the car for turn 7 over on the right side of the track. Turn 7 doesn't have a good clear braking marker, but there is a patch of dirt I use just in front of us here. It is much easier to see within the sim. But once I get to that marker, I go to about 70% brake pressure, and then we're easing off a little bit when we are attacking the first curb for turn 7. Once we're off the curb of turn 7, we want to increase the pressure a little bit again for turn 8. And of course, we want to be cutting each curb to get our line as straight as possible. For turn 8, we want to quickly turn the car, as we want a good exit going down the long straight. I start to apply the throttle once I get past the bullet on the right for turn 8. If the car wants to walk out for the inside curb of turn 9, we've done it right. Now it's a drag race down to turn 10, which is a great place to try and overtake if you can get alongside the other car. But for qualifying, you want to be all the way on the left side, and I brake halfway between the 50 and the 100 board here on the left. And here I aim for about 95% brake pressure, quickly trailing off to the first bollard on the inside, cutting it as close as I dare to that one. Then I pick up the throttle for a little bit, once I'm past the bollard, and just before I get to the curb of turn 11, I'll brake just a little bit to make sure I get close to the bollard on the inside. Once off that curb, I'll apply the throttle again, and for turn 12 we just have to lift a little bit. Just make sure you're on the left side for turn 12, as that will help you quite a lot. The lift is to make sure we cut the inside curb as much as possible, and just as we get on the curb we will apply the throttle again. Don't go too far over the outside curb, it is really quickly a 1x. We are flat out all the way up to turn 15, and turn 15 is a great place to try and overtake if you can get on the cars inside. For turn 15 I start to brake once the outside white line goes straight, then I go to about 35% brake pressure, trailing that off all the way to the first curb, and we want to take this as a double apex, but we don't want to go too far out. Once at the first curb you should be able to go full throttle again, just make sure you get close to the second curb as well, and don't slide the car around, and of course use all of the curbing outside if you need. For turn 17 we want to be on the left side of the track. This one I overshot a little bit and I locked my right front. Again, it's not the clearest, but there's a patch of dirt just in front of us. This is my braking marker. Once I get to that, I aim for about 75% brake pressure. In this one, I overshot it, as you see, just a little bit. Nonetheless, we want to be trailing the brake all the way to the emergency road in on the right side. And normally, I want to be cutting the curb there as well. Once we get to this emergency road, we want to pick up the throttle again. Here, we want to ease it in just a tiny bit because we get a dip in the road just afterwards. And of course, we want to be using the outside curb to maximize exit speed. Now it's a drag race all the way down to the start-finish line. And that's my lap around Oulton Park in the F4, with a time of 1 minute 32.1. I have more track guides for the F4 link down below. Hopefully you found this one useful. If you did, leave a like down below, consider subscribing as well, and now for the uninterrupted hot laps.